everyone, it's Elizabeth from Alpes Astrology at alpesastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is my take on the June 2022 astrological forecast for the month. I'm going to do an intro that will be the same for all signs and ascendants. And then towards the end of the video, I will actually go into your individual sign or ascendant. As usual, I prefer you to read first for or listen to your ascendant sign. That tells you what area of your life will be affected. And then you then should listen to your sun sign as well, because that just gives you a little bit more detail of what may be coming up for you in this month of June. All right, so we're going to start off with the 3rd of June. And the 3rd of June, we actually have Mercury retrograde that started in Gemini last month, now going direct, but it's going direct at 26 degrees of Taurus, which I thought was very interesting. So this whole Mercury retrograde has covered 2 signs. It's not totally unusual to have that happen, but you can imagine that Mercury is really more at home in Gemini. So when I saw this, as I looked at other aspects as well, and even though it's always positive to know that any planet, especially a Mercury retrograde, is going direct, but we're not out of the woods yet. So if you've been having some issues with any kinds of communications at all, contract negotiations, and it still doesn't seem to be resolving at the beginning of June, once this Mercury retrograde has gone direct, don't despair. It will go forward for you. Now, the thing that goes with this whole Mercury retrograde going direct is that we've got a square to Saturn. So that's adding in, at its most positive, a Mercury going direct with a square Saturn basically says disciplined thinking, right? So it could have you really getting serious about thinking about whatever it is that you need to do and being able to take some action on it. But it can also have another side. Saturn can actually dampen things down as well. So it might also be on this day that you are seeing things more negatively. And again, that kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning here, that we're not quite out of the woods yet with regards to Mercury coming out of its shadow. So hang on in there for a little while when Mercury will come out of its shadow period and then go into Gemini, its home sign, and things get resolved, especially with regards to any kind of communications or breakdowns in communications. And that actually is going to be on the 19th of June, where Mercury will go direct at 4 degrees of Gemini. So look to that week, the week around the 19th, where things actually start to really improve. All right, so when we look at the 4th, the next day, again, Saturn is highlighted, but it's because Saturn is going to go retrograde, and it'll go retrograde at 25 degrees of Aquarius. So this is going to be an influence of a few months. And I would say that with this whole Saturn going retrograde, it's really going to have, I would say, people in authority, institutions, that kind of thing, kind of staying in the background more instead of like laying down the law. This is more like, let's write some laws or let's rethink some of these things. So I see that as a positive thing with this Saturn retrograde. Now, if you do have anything around the 25 degree mark of Aquarius, you may have some kind of delay that happens unexpectedly where someone, maybe in authority, steps in and says, well, wait a minute here, you're not following the rules. You're going to have to do this, this, and this. So I guess knowing the heads up on that, I'm making this video I'm making this video on the weekend of the total eclipse in Scorpio. So you've got a heads up on that. If you are, putting together some plans, whatever, say you're, I don't know, building something or adding to a home, that you've got to get special approval from City Hall on that. So it's that type of thing I'm talking about occurring with this Saturn going retrograde. Yeah. Okay, so we have our first full moon on the 14th of this month, and it's a full moon at 23 degrees of Sagittarius, 25 minutes. It is at 4:51 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We have Mercury going direct, and it will be at 0 degrees of Gemini. So I thought that was interesting too. Anything that's at 0 degrees or 29 degrees of any sign are called critical degrees. So this does speak to some kind of communication. And because it's in Gemini, this could be the sort of foreshadowing of things resolving in that whole communication sector that will really take place around the 19th of this month. Now the moon in Sagittarius will be squaring Neptune, that is in Pisces. So this can bring in some illusions. Neptune also likes to dissolve things. So it would be a good time if you do have to get rid of some bad habits, like you're drinking too much or eating too much, that you can more easily do that, even though it's a square, but it'll certainly highlight this sort of thing where you've got bad habits potentially, and ask you to resolve some of them. We've got also the moon, though, will be sextiling a retrograde Saturn. So I saw this as positive, for sure, where maybe you are trying to resolve some bad habits of some sort, and or risk-taking as well. I mean, Sagittarius also can be a risk-taker. So with that square, it's saying maybe hold off on taking any risks to make your dreams come true, to make a wish come true. Something kind of like that's out there that you can't reach or can't quite hold on to. You're going to want to make it real with the Saturn involved here by sextile. Now you may get an opportunity because sextiles are opportunities, but because we've got that square happening there as well, it could just be that for some of us, that dream that you have, that wish that you want to make true, that vision that you have for yourself in the future, kind of seems to have a few clouds in it. But don't despair about that. This is just a temporary thing. And this is not an eclipse. It's just a full moon. It's going to bring something to light. However, this full moon harks back to another time when we did have a total new moon eclipse. And that was on the 14th of December, 2020. So I would say a useful way of using this full moon or utilizing this full moon energy is to look back and ask yourself what was happening around December 2020 that was new, that started new, and it was a total new moon eclipse. So this would have been a significant time, especially for Sagittarians and for the opposite sign, Geminis. This full moon brings things now to a conclusion and asks you, how are things going since you had that new start? So for Sagittarians, I would say that this is a time of reckoning is kind of the word that I'm coming up with, where some Sagittarians may have to look at that new start that they made in December 2020 or maybe January 2021 and ask themselves, is this working? Was this a little bit of an illusion? Because we've got Neptune now sitting on the full moon in Sagittarius. Or is this something that can become real, bringing the Saturn in, and I can get opportunities to make this more permanent? So Saturn is also about enduring effects as well. Okay, so the next thing we have is on the 17th. We have lovely Venus, lovely, charming, sweet Venus, who's described as the lesser benefic, is going to be conjuncting the north nodes in Taurus, 22 degrees. So if you've got anything around 22 degrees, or say your own north nodes are at 22 degrees, this could bring in love, money, or at least an increased value of yourself. Just a really positive effect, basically. It can stand for women as well, where maybe in the collective, we see a woman or women being brought into the news favorably. Maybe that whole thing, Roe versus Wade, actually gets resolved in a positive way for women. Okay, I want to go back to that full moon again in Sagittarius. I don't always look up the Sabian symbols. And Sabian symbols basically is a book that has every single degree of the signs, the astrological signs, and it gives you some information that could describe more what may happen at that time, whatever it is that you're looking at. So we always round up our degrees. So this we take up to 24 degrees of Sagittarius. And the Sabian symbol is beautiful. It's a bluebird perched on the gate of a cottage. I mean, just that image conjures up this lovely, warm feeling. It maybe makes us a little sentimental as well. But the bluebird is really a symbol of happiness. And then sitting on the gate of a cottage kind of reflects a well-adapted society. So that type of energy, and certainly the description that they use in the Sabian symbol, I think is something that we should bear in mind, that although there may be a few challenges at this full moon, the end goal will be a lot of happiness that will result of this. I mean, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter, of course, is the greater benefic. And it is like Santa Claus. It just wants to bring you gifts in the end. Might have to work for those gifts a bit, that's all. Okay, so this year we have the summer solstice that will be on the 21st, and I include a chart. So some astrologers take this as a whole 6-month effect. I tend to take it as more like a seasonal effect, so it's like a 3-month, 4-month effect here, till we have an equinox happening, and then the energies shift again. So it really is a major shift of energy. And in particular, we like to look at both the sun we already know is going to be at 0 degrees of Cancer, but then we look at the other planets, and in particular the moon. And so this year at the summer solstice on the 21st, we have a moon at 3 degrees of Aries. And so this says to me that the mood of the people, so the moon can represent the people, the mood of the people, is going to be very action-oriented. It can even be militaristic. So this can represent the military because Mars actually rules Aries. But it's also going to have a lot of people want to get on their own individual path, do things their way, and be emotionally more assertive and forward with regards to what they want. And like I said, I take this as covering an approximate 3-month period, the effects of this. So this will be all over the summer period. But it can give also, individuals a spotlight on them, right? So certainly for any Aries individuals, you could literally have a spotlight put on you for some reason, or asked to lead something. Aries is a cardinal sign, and that actually refers to a leader of some sort as well. All right, so the next thing that we have is we have the sun is going to be squaring this moon. And that is not a good thing at this summer solstice. I would say that there's going to be a discrepancy or an inharmonious type influence here between those in power and the people. So that's what I saw the sun in Cancer being, power. And in particular, it can be the homeland, right? Your homeland, exerting power over the people. And I mean, we're having that already happening in Shanghai and elsewhere in China. So that effect could represent this transit here at the summer solstice, affect the whole period of the summer with regards to that type of thing, that the people being held in check here against their will. The other thing that we have too is we have Venus going to be trining Pluto. Well, this just spells out desire. I want to do something here. Now, a trine can pass by without any real effects because it's so pleasant, but it is a very positive aspect. So this could be our money markets maybe. So Venus can represent money. I saw this, probably our money markets could improve here. I know we've had a few dips happening, but this could actually see over the summer period an increase for some folks. So we have lots of Aries that's happening at this summer solstice. I've already mentioned the moon at 3 degrees, but we also have Jupiter at 6 degrees, and then we have Chiron at 16 degrees. And Mars, which is the ruler of this moon in Aries, is at 20 degrees. So it seems to me that I think there may still be a lot of, like as I said earlier, military type action, individuals standing up and literally taking a stand, that type of thing, an expansion of that, especially with Jupiter in there. Okay. Let's move on to a retrograde that's going to happen. We're going to have Neptune retrograde at 25 degrees of Pisces on the 28th of June. Now, what's interesting is this 25 degree of Pisces also was where, very close to, within minutes, of that whole Jupiter conjunct Neptune that happened mid-April this year. It actually covered a lot of the whole period of April, but the exact was mid-April. So this could bring, for all of us, another highlight about literally reconsidering, rethinking that great inspiration we had with regards to the dreams that we wanted to make true. It could just have us maybe, with Neptune going retrograde, have us just being a little more circumspect with regards to, did I think too big? Did I take too many steps all at once? Do I need to reconsider that inspiration that I had? And was there a piece maybe missing from the picture? Was there a bit of fogginess or unclearness that I now need to address and look at? So that's how I would use this Neptune retrograde period. It'll be for a number of months. I don't see this as a negative thing. I think it's just something where it's a readjustment of maybe for some folks, taking those rose-colored glasses off, right? And just looking more carefully. It doesn't mean don't give up on your dreams, that's for sure, or the wishes that you want to come true. This is a fabulous year for that, for everybody. Now, especially for Pisces, for sure, this is going to be influencing Pisces that, say, have a sun around 25 degrees, or those folks that have an ascendant. And it's going to be a reconsideration, like I said, I believe, of those dreams, wishes that you had and that you felt inspired by mid-April of this year. All right, so we kind of end the month here with a new moon. And the new moon is going to be in Cancer, 7 degrees of Cancer, 23 minutes, on the 29th. So happy New Year to all my Cancer ascendants and my Cancer sons, especially to my brother John, whose birthday is on the 10th of July. So here we have the moon and the sun together because it's a new moon in Cancer, but it's going to be squaring Jupiter in Aries. Now, it's pretty hard to get a bad aspect with Jupiter, and I really felt that this whole square actually was promoting positive thinking and a lot of us feeling very generous. We're going to be having Mercury here at 18 degrees of Gemini. Now it's going to be in conjunct to Uranus, that is in Taurus. So that's at 17 degrees. So it's a 17, 18 degrees in conjunct. And I really saw this as a round peg trying to be put into a square hole. So there might be a little bit of anger and frustration around this new moon. And of course, Cancer is a very emotional sign. It's the sign of the mother. It's the sign of the family. It's the homeland. But this is a new start. So I would say that if you do feel generous at this time, feel free to use that in some kind of compassionate way, because Cancer also does elicit compassion and that type of thing. And the other thing, too, that a lot of people don't mention is that, of course, Cancer is very intuitive. So there may be some intuitive hits that come up here, especially with that whole inconjunct that we have with the now direct Mercury still in Gemini. But there may be some surprises here with regards to communications, because it's Mercury that is in Gemini, right? Just be careful with the anger and the frustration. Try instead to funnel that into energy that is more compassionate. Maybe even doing something in the home, because, of course, Cancer represents the home too, your literal home. We have a really nice wide sextile with Pluto and Neptune. So this is nice too. This is a supportive aspect that goes back to that whole mid-April of the Neptune conjunct Jupiter, where our wishes, dreams, some of us did have magic and miracles happen, but certainly there would have been some kind of inspiration. This just is a supportive aspect of that, where you may get a little more power, in personal power, to make more opportunities for yourself to push that dream forward. Okay, so that really ties up, in a small way at least, my view of the astrology in June 2022. So I'm going to move on now next to the signs and the ascendants. For Aries, so Aries, this full moon in Sagittarius trines your sign very favorably, and it is in your 9th house. So for some Aries, this is going to be a time when you get to publish some of your work. For others, it may be you tying up an advanced degree where you publish your dissertation. For others, it may be the conclusion of some big travel trip. And for others, it might be a tie-up of some kind of legal case that's been around for a while, where you finally put it to bed, where it's concluded, where the decisions are made. And because it's in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, no doubt they will be in favor for you. So this tie-up, for some folks, will be a legal case that will work in your favor. But it could also be a decision time where you can actually see the future and you say, wow, I can see me taking that wonderful foreign trip that I've wanted to take. And you put all the pieces together around this time and really see that you can take this fabulous trip that you've wanted to go on, and it becomes a reality for you. And that everything is easy. It's a trine, right? So everything works together to make it happen. Now, it could be too that you have a connection with foreign people or foreign places that somehow come into the mix for you, and that you decide that either you've got to let go some aspect of a foreign connection, or that you need to incorporate this foreign idea or foreign people into your life at this time, that it becomes very important for you. I see also, because Sagittarius does talk about seeing into the future, it just could be a time where some Aries can actually see clearly what is going to be happening in the future for themselves, where they're going to be going. The 9th house also is, what we really want to do in this lifetime at a higher level. So it's that higher consciousness type thing. So you may be thinking of a legacy type thing. For some Aries, you want to leave this legacy. I mean, you're the cardinal sign that likes to lead. You're great leaders and managers. But you could also be deciding some aspects of your future that are related to your legacy. What do I really want to leave here? What do I want people to remember when I'm gone? That type of thinking could come in here too at this full moon. When we look at the new moon in Cancer, it squares your sign, Aries, and it's in your 4th house. So this says to me there's some discontent in the home, or discontent with family members, or discontent maybe with your mother. So you're going to have some resolution in the home happen. Now, because it's also the 4th house, because this is the new moon in Cancer, it's going to be some new beginning. So it could be that for some reason you've got to sell your home or sell a home. But because it squares your sign, this new beginning that you want to take has some challenges. So maybe you want to buy this new home, and there's a lot of people that want to buy that home too. And you're left with this challenge of, how do I get it? How do I be number one? All Aries like to be number one. So there's just this sort of idea of you got to think outside the box. Or maybe there's a new home that you've just bought, and you're starting to discover now that there's some things in the home that you've actually got to fix. I don't see this as the end of the world here. It just means that you're going to have to take the action. And you may not get much help with regards to, say, insurance and that. For some reason, you're going to have to handle this on your own. On the surface, this could have you having arguments, basically, in the home over the way things are done in the home. And it means that there has to be some new ways of caring. Cancer is a caring sign, a new way of you, Aries, of being more compassionate and more caring. Maybe you're being challenged by family members that say to you, you're just not caring enough. You're not compassionate enough. Maybe you're not doing enough in the home at its worst. Hopefully not. But if you aren't pulling your weight in the home, this new moon's going to highlight it, and you're going to have to get ship-shape in the home. That's what this says to me. You're also hosting Chiron, and you're also hosting Jupiter also in your sign. So this is going to give, especially the Jupiter in Aries, that's going to just give you a cushion. So whatever things that might be negative towards the end of June for you that you've got to resolve, or challenges you've got to resolve, Jupiter's still going to give you a bit of a cushion there, and maybe throw a benefit your way. Maybe you're going to be able to pull a rabbit out of the hat at the last moment, and everybody will be amazed by what you can do. Take care, Aries. All right, so that wraps up the month of June 2022. I want to thank everybody for listening in, commenting. I have so much fun listening to your comments and writing back and giving you. I've got lots of new clients that have come in from all over the world. I want to say hello to everybody that I've been doing Zoom astrology sessions on. I've had so much fun with all of you. I'm just going to give you a little bit of heads up on the July 2022. We have Mercury and Venus going into Cancer. So if you've got any placements in Cancer, that's bringing good news, potential love for some Cancers, and some money maybe too. We're going to have Mars in Taurus conjuncting the north nodes of the moon. So this is bringing some action with regards to, especially those folks that have north nodes binatally in their chart in Taurus, as well as conjuncting Uranus. So some surprise new start for some folks that are associated with that north nodes in Taurus. We'll have a full moon that's in Capricorn. So for Capricorns, there's going to be some wrap up for you. And we'll have a new moon in Leo that I have mentioned already in Leo's forecast. I see that as a bright, shining star. So Leos, if you're having any challenges, know that that new moon on the 28th of July, which I will cover in my July video, is going to be a super positive time for you. And for some folks, there might be some fame coming your way, Leo. All right, I'm going to leave it there. If you want your chart done, as per usual, all the details are below in the text box. I love hearing from everybody, and I love doing everyone's astrology. Take care, and we're going to see you next month. Bye for now.